Hey everybody, this is Perch, and here's some free-form thoughts. This is going to make one person laugh. Well, I mean, maybe more than one person, but I just finished having dinner with a nice gentleman in the comic industry, a good artist who I like a great deal. I've always liked a great deal, long before I, met him and had dinner with him. And it was a good conversation. What struck me was the normalcy of the conversation. It was a nice, normal. Hey, here's some ideas. Here's some way to make business. Here's some ways that things can grow, and here's some good, just normal, sane conversation. And I think this is one thing that a lot of people who are, I don't know, maybe listening to this, who are not in comics, who maybe have never been to a con, or maybe you have and you've really wanted to hang out with some comic creator, writer, artist, whoever. But you're getting an impression right now, I think, through a lot of videos, a lot of blog posts, and social media and other things. If you just pay attention to creators on Twitter, for example, you're getting a kind of a idea that people are, and for lack of a better word, let's say batshit crazy. That's the impression you're getting if that's what you're paying attention to. And now, by the way, when I say if that's what you're paying attention to, I'm not trying to kind of make fun of you or disparage you. I mean, what else do you have to go on? And I think this is, by the way, I'll keep bouncing back and forth. This is something I think a lot of comic, professionals, people who are in comics, need to digest, which is the customers, the people who are giving you money. They don't have a lot to go on here to learn about who you are, about what you do as a creator. They don't know. Their options are social media and kind of whatever the publishers decide to do. Now, maybe Substack changes that a little bit, where people will get to be closer to creators that they like, admire, respect, whatever. But in general, customers are learning about you through Twitter. That's the only place they can go. Every now and then they can go to a con and they can see you there, and then maybe they can get 5 seconds with you at a convention. That's nice. But they're not, the primary place where they're going to get to know you is on social media. And so I know, now switching to the other side for a second, for customers, a lot of creators I talk to, not the guy I had dinner with last night, who was, just wonderful, great conversation, normal, sane. Whenever I have those kinds of conversations, I'm always left with saying, I need to do more with this person. I got to figure out how to do business with this person, because it's enjoyable. Because the guy was fun, smart, felt better after it, right? But generally speaking, a lot of creators like to use Twitter as a way to, I don't know, vent, express themselves, try on a persona, do crazy things. I talked about it, and it's not my point, but I still think it's a good one. A lot of people, they use social media and they pick a persona, and the persona they pick is dick. They pick, aggravating asshole as their persona. Why do they do this? I don't know. I met a creator once who said, on social media, I try and be Rick. And I'm like, Rick who? It's like Rick from Rick and Morty. I'm like, wait, you're trying to be the drunk Dr. Grandpa? Like, yeah, because he's funny and quirky. I'm like, yeah, but if you really watch that show, Rick is a broken man. That's kind of the purpose of his character. He's screwed up. He has made a lot of bad decisions in his life, and his life is kind of miserable. That's kind of part of what they do. He's very sarcastic. He's very funny, but he's also broken. Like, why are you trying to be the broken person? That you're not the Rick character is designed to be funny. I mean, first of all, it's a cartoon, for God's sake, but it's designed to be funny, and it's designed to be a kind of a cautionary tale, for lack of a better word, of, what not to do. And that's usually where the conversation breaks down. It's like, I don't understand. Rick and Morty's funny. I want to be Rick. It's like, okay. That's not the point that we're making here, but okay. That's a lot of, I really want more customers, more people, because I see all these videos And I see lots of people kind of bemoaning the unprofessional behavior of a lot of creators on social media. And what people are missing in that is that what you see on social media is an act in almost all cases. It definitely is a show. You're getting a performance. And I think it's one thing to look at that performance and say, this is a lousy performance. This is a boring performance. This is a performance that seems designed to antagonize me. And I question the wisdom of that. I don't get why people are doing that. And you are correct, by the way. I do think it's, I talk a lot on this channel about, being self-serving and is this a good decision for your own self-interest? And I think a lot of creators do steer into behaviors and actions that take money out of their pocket. I mean, forget about how if it offends a customer, it's ultimately net negative to them. But they do it because that's kind of, I think, what Twitter brings out in people. It's designed to kind of say, hey, why don't you be that, let that inner dick personality out and be that jerk that you always wanted to be. So Twitter is a safe space to be a jerk. But the weird disconnect is most creators I talk to are not that way. Most creators have same kind of issues you and I do. The pay is not astronomical. Every now and then I talk to a customer or somebody sends me a mail saying, I know most creators are making like $2 to $3 million a year. No, not even close to that. That's not what they're making. That's not even close to what they're making. There a lot of people are just like us, like anyone. We're all kind of the same in a lot of cases. And so I'm just struck by this, what feels like a little bit of a tragedy. The tragedy is that the tragedy here is that most people are actually normal people who just want to tell stories and kind of do normal things. And most customers are just normal people who want to buy a comic and, be entertained for 5-10 minutes, whatever it happens to be, of them reading the comic. That's really it. And we spend a lot of time arguing with each other and fighting with each other and fighting, being unnatural to each other, because the comic creators want a check. They just want to kind of do their thing and maybe be accepted. I mean, you could psychoanalyze a lot of things that comic creators probably want, and a lot of customers want the same. And there's this intentional, what I feel is very disingenuous, of people pretending not to understand each other. For example, one of the biggest ones that irritates me, we talked a little bit of it at dinner, is when customers, they basically have been collecting a comic for, 30, 40 years. They've been holding the torch for a lot of these titles. They've been sustaining it. They've been putting their hard-earned money to, help make people have a living. And they may be very committed to Wonder Woman or Batman or Tim Drake. And the publisher comes along and says, let's change Tim Drake. Let's introduce some new facet of Tim Drake's personality. And a lot of these customers who have been collecting the comic for, 40 years or so, they feel some possession of Tim Drake. Now, do they own Tim Drake? Of course not. Of course they don't own that character. The character's owned by DC. Not even the creators who are working on Tim Drake own Tim Drake. It's owned by DC. It's owned by this corporation. But still, the customers feel some ownership because they've grown up with this character basically for so long. And so when you change that character and you make some dramatic change to his personality or to his character, some people won't go along with that. Now, again, in fairness, it's not their character. It's owned by DC. DC can do whatever they want. It's not even really owned by DC. It's owned by Warner Media. It's owned by Discovery or AT&T or wherever the hell it belongs these days. It's owned by that group. And, comic customers can feel possessive over these characters. They don't own it. And at the end of the day, they have a choice. They can either accept the change or they can stop buying it. It's really that simple. That's the nature of things you don't own. The disingenuous part, the part that actually does make me crazy and I feel like is so hollow, is when the publisher or the creators go, I have no idea why anyone is upset that we decided to change Tim Drake all around. I have no idea. Who could have ever predicted this? I had no idea that anybody could have predicted in the world that somebody would have an issue with this. That to me is the goofy part. That's the part that I have to believe. It basically comes down to one of two things. Either you're very stupid or you're lying. And I like to believe, I don't just like to believe, it's true. Most people are not very stupid. We know this by the comments. We know this that when like creators will say things like, oh man, I'll bet this is going to make everybody angry. If you bet it's going to be making everybody angry, then you know the reaction you're going to get. You know, you can't fake it. You know what you're in for. And yet you pretend, I can't believe I am shocked and outraged that customers would be upset that I changed a character that they have been following for 30 plus years, and I created some dramatic new alteration, and I can't believe that anyone would have a problem with this. Yes, comic readers, comic customers do like change. They do like their characters to evolve. But one thing I think we can all acknowledge at this point that they don't like is random changes out of nowhere. They tend to, if they bought into a story for decades, they like to have that story explained. They like to have some reasoning behind what's going on. You may say that's a lot to ask. I don't think that's a lot to ask. I think you're in the business of storytelling. I think it's okay for you to explain how in the hell you got from point A to point B. I think it's lazy to just say, we're at point C now, get with it, bigots, and figure it out. I think that's ridiculous. By the same token, just to be fair, I also think I think the customers are at times disingenuous when they go on kind of outraged screaming at people, and they start you go on Twitter and you tag DC and you're like, screw you, DC. I will never buy another comic from you ever again. And then they get blocked or creators get angry at them and they're like, what did I say? I didn't say anything wrong at all. How dare somebody, why did somebody get upset with me? I mean, when you have an angry reaction, it's going to create an angry counter reaction. Like, we're all grown-ups now. Can we acknowledge this? Doesn't mean it's fair, doesn't mean it's right, doesn't mean you're not justified for being angry, but we can't be surprised at the counter reaction anymore. That is the disingenuous part. Just stop. Stop with all of it. But I digress. I got off on a bit of a tangent. What strikes me here, and I guess this is the thing I want comic customers to realize as much as possible. And this is a challenge. It's actually a question for all of you as you're listening to this, as you're thinking about it. Why is it that we live in this, what feels like a fake world? Because it is a fake world of a lot of kind of very, very random social media comments, this world of personas. Why is it that we believe that that there has to be a war at all? The majority of people in comics, yes, the majority of them, are normal people. They are motivated by things like, I would like to get paid, and I would like to have a sense of where I'm going to get paid a month from now. I would like to know what my gig is after this gig. That's the majority of people in comics today. The majority is not thinking, how do I find all the people who voted for Trump and fuck them in some way? That's not what the majority is thinking. I understand there are a couple people. I'm not denying that there are people who believe that. There definitely are, because they say this all the time. Maybe the kind of the weird thing is, even some of the people who are saying this on, say, Twitter, don't actually think this in real life. For whatever insane reason, they believe they have to act that way on Twitter for, I don't know, clout, attention, networking, who knows? Spin the wheel of fortune and kind of come up with the answer there. It is bizarre that people feel like that's the persona they have to connect with. But by and large, the vast majority are actually normal people who just want to do their work. And keep in mind, we talk about comics. A lot of people fixate on the writers and sometimes the artists and sometimes the editors. There are colorists in this, there are inkers, there are letterers, there are people who are distributing this comic, there's people who are marketing this comic. To the vast majority of them, they're just trying to kind of punch the clock. They want to come in, make a comic, get it shipped out, hopefully sell something, have enough job security to last another month and then a month after that. That's a lot of the people in comics. I feel like we've hit this point, this inflection point, where the normal people, the people who are not really interested in having a fight, the people who are kind of tired of all this drama, they're worn out. The normal people need to start banding together and start to just create a life. It's going to sound terrible. Yes, they need to create the little gated community of normal people, and they need to build that little gate up. And just like, hey, to gain entrance into this community, you're going to have to be not insane. And you're going to have to be focused on comics first and fighting never. And that's our mission here. That's what we're trying to do. I feel like there's quite a few people who desire that, who would like that, on all fronts, by the way. I mean, just on all sides, all groups, all factions. I do believe a majority of people just want to make comics. And then there's some people who enjoy the fight and they want to fight. And we just need to start to kind of separate those groups out. And the people who want to have the fight, they can continue to fight as much as they want. At some point, the people who are just addicted to the fight, and this is going to sound really creepy coming out of my mouth, they do have to be dealt with in some way because these people are cheerfully burning down the whole thing for everybody else. So the normal people are going to have to at some point reconcile with the insane people and start to kind of do that. And that's going to have to be a partnership between customers and creators where everybody is going to have to start to, get put out the fires. We're going to have to stop looking at it saying, well, I realize this guy on my team is insane, but they're on my team, so I guess I'll support them. No, we're going to have to start, putting some people in the little lifeboat and tossing them out into the sea. I mean, there comes a point where it's like, whether you're on my team or not, if you're an insane person, you're not on my team. And there's going to have to be a little bit of that. I do think that a small handful of people are really screwing it for everybody else right now. Comics is, by all accounts, an industry and a thing that should be vastly more financially successful for everyone involved. Prices should be lower for consumers. Pay should be higher for creators, and it can be. Other industries in entertainment and other places have figured more of this out. Comic books is stuck in like this holding pattern because we're still trying to make everything work. We're still trying to kind of reach for the old or reach for the new, but hang on to the old, and we don't really want to change, but we want a few things to change, but we want to maintain exactly the same power and structure that we've always had because that's what we do. At some point, business has got to move forward. Anyway, just some little idle thoughts for you. I had a very nice dinner. It was good. Good catching up. Good guy. Good scotch. That's what life is like. Good scotch talking to a nice, normal person who just wants to make comics. What could be better than that? Absolutely nothing. I'm looking forward to Emerald City Comic Con. I'm looking forward to getting a couple people in a room together, doing some nice videos. I'll show my face because nobody cares about my face. Anyway, thanks for listening. I should have I went right to the tagline. No, I don't care if you like and subscribe, but I do thank you for listening.